Alright, so I'm about ready to test this. This harness that goes to the fuel pump is actually long enough. You can connect it to the car and you can test your fuel pump setup. So I put some wire loom on this because the stuff that was on there from the factory is getting old and nasty. So now what you have to do to test it is you've got to plug this top hose, because that actually, remember, it pumps out here first because it actually pressurizes the other fuel tank on the other side of the car. So unless that's plugged and unless the fuel pressure, so this has to be plugged, then the fuel pressure regulator has to see pressure. And then I should see fuel coming out of my main line. So let's wish me luck. See that little guy right there? It's a pain in the rear end. So push it up through the top and fish it through the hole first. All the lines hooked back in, got the tank back in, got everything tested. I hope it fires up. Test driving the Vette after the fuel pump, and I started it up and it held 60 psi in the garage. As soon as I moved out of the driveway, it was no longer holding 60 psi. Now we're at like 30 psi. And if I get on it, it drops even more. Something's going on, not really sure. So earlier in the video I told you guys that my air pressure was creeping down more and more and more, and hopefully you can see this, but here's why. Let's see, I don't know if you can see, there's a split right there in my hose. Why did that happen? Well, I knew that, let me get in here in some better light. I knew that fuel hose was different than normal hose. So whenever I was adapting the fuel sending unit, I made sure that I got fuel hose. The problem is I didn't get submersible fuel hose. I didn't know there was a difference. I just knew that you needed fuel hose. So this is what the factory hose looked like. It's like a polyethylene, nylon, really hard type hose. Well, I had to split it right here so that you could, let's see if you can see. But I had to actually split the hose to get it to come off of the fuel pressure sending unit. And I knew I needed to replace it with fuel hose, but I didn't know there was a submersible hose, so put the fuel pump in there, started it up, held 60 psi, great. Then it dropped a little more, and then it dropped a little more. And then last night it got to the point where the fuel-air ratio wouldn't even stay consistent, and if I gave it any gas at all, it would get super lean, and the fuel pressure would drop down to like 15 psi. So I figured, after finding out that there's more than one type of fuel hose, that there was a good chance I put the wrong fuel hose in the tank, because I just bought regular fuel hose. Took it apart, and you saw it, there's a big giant split in the fuel pressure regulator hose. So off to the parts store to get submersible fuel hose. Alright, got everything apart. Here's an even better look at the fuel hose. Split wide open. So, and this is all swollen and squishy right now. So, definitely make sure that you get the right fuel hose whenever you're messing with stuff. Alright, this is the fuel hose I ended up getting. It's by Gates, and it's actually labeled as submersible fuel line. There's some part numbers for you. Oh, this is the part number that they looked it up at. But here's the catch. Try to order it online if you can, because it was 37 bucks for 1 foot. This is all I got for 37 bucks. But it's what I gotta have to replace what I took off, so here goes nothing, Mom. Here's a good look at the adapted fuel sending unit with the new Kiosan fuel pump in there. Alright, finished product. Finally got it to hold fuel pressure. Pays a lot whenever you use the right hose and the right clamps and do everything the right way. Fuel air ratio is still bobbing over a little bit, but it is staying at 11 under acceleration now. So even under acceleration, I'm holding the proper fuel pressure, fuel air, everything.